This is She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. Your host, Kinsey Roberts, interviews incredible women in the wedding industry who are making their mark and creating success on their terms. Join the conversation.
Hey guys, welcome back to She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. This is your host, Kinsey Roberts. Thanks for being here. We are on episode 172. Can you even believe it? If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. We're very excited to have you here. We have been doing this and looking at the calendar, as I record this episode, for almost 4 years. So thanks for coming in. You guys are in the right place at the right time. And for those of you, my ride or dies, who've been here for 4 years, you've binged all 171 episodes prior to this one. I love you guys. I mean that with all my heart. Thank you so much for making this podcast what it is today. I appreciate you. I am looking forward to my interview today with Nora Shields from Rock, Paper, Coin and the founder of Bridal Bliss. We're talking all about the rise of Gen Z and how you can and should and need to embrace technology in your business to serve this generation effectively and efficiently. Before I get to that, I want to send a huge heartfelt thank you to the sponsor of this podcast, Sourced Co. You can find them at sourcedco.com. I'm going to put a link to it in the show notes. That's sourcedco.com. This is a service I pay for, love, and use frequently. It is styled stock photography and video for wedding professionals. You guys, it is specifically for us. And I think that has been why I've had such success with it and why I use it all of the time, not just in social media, not just on my website. I use it in a lot of the free PDF downloads that I provide. I use it a lot in my opt-in content. I use it a lot when I'm creating digital assets for the multiple wedding businesses that I run, both the podcast, Vista View Events, which is my wedding venue in Colorado, and a new business, which I'm really actually excited to tell you about, but that's just a little sneak peek because I can't say anything right now. Okay, sorry, irrelevant. Go to sourcedco.com, and if you use the code SheCreatesBiz, that's She Creates BIZ. That's good for 15% off the first 3 months of any subscription and or 15% off any purchase in the shop. One of the things that I have loved about SourceCo is that I use everything they send me every month. That's not a joke. The reason I have been so passionate about Sourced is not just because it's run by all female entrepreneurs who are also wedding pros. You know how I feel about that. I feel like our businesses are twins, but I also want to get the most bang for my buck. Who doesn't? So I don't want to have a subscription to a company that's like, okay, cool, here's 50 photos and 1 video footage each month, but you can only use 2 of them because they're not really relevant to being a wedding pro. I don't have time for that. I need to be able to use everything that I'm paying for, and that's what Sourced has done for me. I can just pick out one thing. I can just pick anything at any time because their taste is incredible. The quality is amazing. They partner with other wedding professionals to do the styled shoots for the photos. And listen, I don't know any other company providing the high quality video footage that they provide. It's been absolutely incredible, especially as I build this new business, which you guys, oh my gosh, it's going to be so fun. So huge shout out to Sourced Co. Thank you so much for sponsoring this episode. In the next couple of episodes on this podcast, I cannot thank you enough. Super honored to be your client, and you guys go to sourcedco.com, 15% off the first 3 months of your subscription using the code SheCreatesBiz. That is all in the show notes. But if you hate going to the show notes, why don't you just come on over to Instagram, say hi, DM me. I'm at She Creates Business, and I will help you find everything that you need. You are welcome. Okay, let's talk about Nora Shields. With over 18 years running award-winning planning firm Bridal Bliss, founder Nora Shields possesses an intimate grasp on the ins and outs of the wedding industry. Yeah, no joke, right? In her time working with countless couples and leading a team of 30 plus women, she recognized a need for a more effective, streamlined approach to the often daunting contract and invoice process. Can I get an amen? Thus, in 2018, Rock, Paper, Coin was born in partnership with her sister-in-law, Elizabeth, and the two have been committed to bringing together event professionals and couples ever since. Nora's industry experience has led her to become a thought leader in the way of project management, operational efficiency, business expansion, and team dynamics. Her expertise extends to event professionals who discover increased productivity through Rock, Paper, Coin as well as those who hear her speak on stage. As a well-known and sought-after speaker in her local speaking circuit, including with associations like ILEA Portland and Seattle Business Babes, Nora's always prepared to share her favorite strategies for simplifying, refining, and refreshing business workflows. She also speaks to performing digital audits and implementing virtual solutions, especially as the industry prepares for the growth of Gen Z in the market. Holla, that's what we're talking about today. Nora's knowledge has earned her a spot in top industry podcasts, including Planner in Training and She Creates Business, that's me, and her contributions have been featured in Brides, Wedding Wire, Cater Source, Special Events, and Wedding IQ. In her spare time, Nora can be found spending quality time with her family, often over a long family-style spread of food and a glass of great sparkling wine. I feel like Nora is my girl. Ugh, I just love her. She also appreciates the chance to explore the vibrant culture and food scene of the Pacific Northwest, particularly in her beloved hometown of Portland. Nora Shields is talking today about the rise of Gen Z and how we as wedding pros can, need, and should be embracing technology at every level of our business so that we can accommodate them and serve them really, really well, because they are coming, you guys. They're coming. Nora, if you are listening, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. I'm going to tell you guys a funny story really quickly. In this episode, which I did not cut out just so you can share in my humiliation, I made a joke about Mark Zuckerberg's age, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. And I made that joke as in he is a little baby tater tot. Like Mark Zuckerberg, what is he, 15 years old? We don't know. And I had to email Nora after I edited this show, and I said, I am so sorry because I think it sounds like I was making a joke about her age, and I was completely mortified. Mortified, you guys. I literally emailed her and I was like, hello, this is the person who now lives under a rock. I am so sorry. I was talking about Mark, not you. So I'm the worst, you guys. Listen, if you're the worst, you can still have a podcast. That's the beauty of the situation. Obviously, Nora's incredible. She was so gracious. Nora, thank you so much. Let's get to the show. The rise of Gen Z and the need for technology in our business so that we can serve this generation. Sponsored by the one, the only, the best, sourceco.com. Here we go, guys. Nora, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. It's a super pleasure to have you here. We have a mutual acquaintance in Megan Ely, whom we both love. Shout out, Megan.
The best.
Yeah, she's like the best. I don't know anyone who I say like, oh, we both know Megan Ely. Instantly, we're both like, she's the best.
So true.
So anyway, I have been really looking forward to this topic ever since I saw it. And I'm so grateful that you are being so gracious with your time today and chatting with us about this, because it is something that people are talking about, definitely. But I don't think that it's really I don't think we're really shining a light on it for some reason. I feel like there's people chatting about it, but I don't know if there is really, what am I trying to say, Nora? Like concrete steps on how you can actually do this. So you guys, as you saw from the title, we're talking about the rise of Gen Z and how their influence is requiring us to embrace event technology this year and beyond. And I think that that's such a specific thing to their generation. But I, for one, I feel confident in my marketing capabilities for sure, but I, for one, don't feel like I have concrete steps that I can follow just to say, hey, here's a few things that you can look at to make sure you are embracing tech. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Tech is so important, not only for Generation Z, but also for the millennials that we're kind of dealing with right now. That's
totally
basically the main wedding target market. They're kind of finishing out and letting in the Generation Generation Z. It's so easy to mix them up, right?
Mm-hmm. It really is. It's like, who are you?
I know, exactly. I think we've talked so much about millennials the last several years that's what everyone has been focused on. But yeah. Generation Z is really that new client that's coming in now. They were born between 96 and 2010. So we're seeing more and more Generation Z couples.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right when you say that people have been talking, it's been millennial this, millennial that since what, 2000? Is that what it is?
Exactly.
Before that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and so it's been, for the last 2 decades, it's been just them. And I think that we are still, I know I am, we still have more conversation as it relates to marketing, as it relates to embracing new trends around millennials. And we're just starting to feel the rise of Gen Z. And so I'm so glad there's people like you to help navigate us through that process. But we're going to get into all of that. I know you have a lot of great stuff to share. Before we do that, though, I read your professional bio there at the top of the show, as I always do. So everybody has a little bit of an idea about where you're coming from, Nora. But I would love for you, in your own words, just take a few minutes, just tell us who you are, what you do in the industry.
Sure. So I have been in love with weddings since I was a little girl. My mom used to do alterations out of our house growing up.
Oh,
So
cool.
I was always around beautiful dresses and excited brides and their families. And I always just took a liking to it. So throughout schooling, I was always the person planning events. My senior year, I went to Gonzaga University. I wrote a business plan for a competition and ended up winning.
What?
And it gave me all of my startup funds if I was to start right out of college. So I had nothing to lose at that point. I moved back home to Portland, lived with my parents for a couple years, and built Bridal Bliss, which is based in Portland. We also have offices now in Bend and Seattle. But I started as a wedding planner and started really small and just took my time to get to know the industry, get to know as many vendors as I possibly could. And that was back in 2002. So a lot has changed since then. We're talking about Generation Z, but my generation, we didn't grow up with internet even. I had dial-up internet, AOL back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, when if somebody picked up the phone, you were going to get kicked off of the Wi-Fi.
That's right. Burning, burning.
I know. So the industry has just changed so much in that time. So I have been planning weddings with Bridal Bliss since 2002. And then about 3 years ago, one of my planners at Bridal Bliss, Elizabeth, who I later introduced to my brother-in-law, and they got married. So now we're
Oh my
sisters-in-law
God, you're a
and working
matchmaker.
together. I know it's good
Yes.
for business, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm really great at
Um,
my job, you guys.
it's a whole package deal.
Yeah.
Um, so we were just sitting over drinks, commiserating over having to babysit our couples and how we felt like we just kept having to remind them to send in their paperwork, send in their deposit. So many vendors were sending just PDFs or requiring a check sent in. And it just didn't line up with our clientele. Couples didn't have the patience for that. So we set out to find software that we could use. We tried every possible thing on the market and nothing was a good fit. It was either way too involved, too expensive. It wasn't a good experience for our clients. There were just issues with all of them. So we built Rock, Paper, Coin, which is wedding software. It's based for the wedding industry, which is different than most of the other platforms out there. It connects wedding professionals or event professionals of any kind and their clients so they can interact digitally. They can send professional invoices and contracts, and all the interactions can happen online. So on a couple's phone or computer, they can sign their contracts, they can send their payments in with no fuss at all. And it just speeds along the booking process and just keeps everybody really organized.
Yeah, I love it. Now, you say that as if it were, it just kind of came out of nowhere. But I imagine, unless for some reason you are like a developer that I don't know that, but how did you actually get Rock Paper Coin built from a
Well, I am
technical
absolutely
perspective?
not a developer at all.
Same,
Both
same.
Elizabeth and I are non-technical founders. So that was one of the challenges as we built the platform. We basically just set out and hired a full stack team that could design the application and build it. Hours of research town and throughout the Northwest and also nationally to make sure that this was a thing that was really needed.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it was like, no question, we had to do this. So lots and lots of research, lots and lots of prep. So we started the company probably about a year and a half before we even launched it. So
Right.
it was last August, almost a year ago, that we were live online. And since we have wedding professionals all over the nation signed up, wedding planners, photographers, bakers, any type of vendor, you name it, they use us.
That's so incredible. And I'm so impressed that what I love is that neither you nor Elizabeth had, it's not like you've been, it's not like you're tech CEOs. Like you're both wedding planners, she worked for you. But you still made the commitment to go out there and find the resources that you need. I feel as if that's the true entrepreneurial spirit. Like you did not let it stand in your way that you had no idea how to build this, but you knew you could find someone, and you got your resources. That you guys are true planners. Like you found what you needed to get the job done.
I mean, looking back, the whole thing is just crazy. If you would have told either Elizabeth or myself that we would be starting and running a tech company, we would have laughed at you. So it's definitely a need-based solution, and I think that's why it works well.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that you're like non-techie CEOs, but obviously you wanted things to be easier for your clients. You wanted things to be easier between the vendor-client relationship. But now that you are a tech CEO, do you find yourself more invested in that world? I mean, I would imagine so, since we're really talking about tech and embracing it and how it relates to Gen Z. Have you found yourself really more deep diving into that whole schema?
Yes, absolutely. And I honestly was hesitant. I was a little more old school, and Elizabeth, bless her, really pushed me all throughout Bridal Bliss and now to really embrace technology and not see it as like something new you have to learn and a new challenge, but something that really streamlines your business and saves you time so you can spend it doing what you want, whether it's with family or working on your craft. So I was a little hesitant before Rock Paper Coin to even try new software out there, but as we got into it and saw how smoothly it worked and how it really helped our systems and our team grow and save time, it's clear. And now we use all kinds of technology that I couldn't even start naming them all for you.
Yeah. So talk to me about kind of the average Gen Z couple then. Like as you talked about how, they were born between 1996 and 2010. So those early folks are kind of who we're seeing come in to be our couples.
Right.
What are their expectations as they enter the planning process?
So, of course, this is all a generalization. I'm not going to say that every Gen Z couple is like this, but as a generalization, most Gen Z couples are really inspired by equality. Options are important to them, and social media is a big part of their lives. Like I said, they've never known a world without the internet or social media, which is crazy to me. And they're definitely like the most ethically diverse generation of our time, and they value equality. That's really, really important to them. So kind of like millennials value wedding or event professionals that give back and do something for their community, it's even more so for Generation Y. They really appreciate options, like I said. Mm-hmm. So as a planner, that's really helpful to know, because before we used to send maybe 2, maybe 3 options that fit what the client is looking for, fits their budget, their aesthetic. But now, as we're dealing with some of these younger couples, they want all the options. They want you to break down everything for them. So you have to be a little bit careful with that, not giving too many options and overwhelming, but also not giving too few where they feel like they haven't seen everything out there. And of those options, personal recommendations are really, really important. And that could be a friend, that could be their wedding planner that's recommending. It could also be a celebrity that they follow on Instagram. So like I said, social media is a big, big piece of it.
Yeah, because we're getting into the generation that they find a lot of value in the word of influencers.
Yes, absolutely. And celebrities today are so different than they were 20, even 10 years ago, where their lives are so much more public. They're sharing, whether it's all truth or not, sharing more about themselves, what they use, what they eat, how they exercise. And that's blowing up these businesses that they're representing in a great way.
In a great way. And do you feel, have you seen that because the influencers, as that's so accurate, that celebrities are just not what they were 10 years ago? I mean, we still have the normal celebrities that you and I consider celebrities, but then there's also these, these micro celebrities. But do you feel that because, or have you seen that because this generation is so, pardon the kind of pun here, influenced by influencers, are they carrying that over to their buying decisions? Meaning, do they expect or hope or want the same, just kind of egregious transparency as their influencers showing? They're showing every part of their life. Like, do they expect that from people they buy stuff from?
So yes, that's interesting you say that. We are seeing that the companies out there today that are showing not just their work on Instagram or other social media, the ones that are kind of letting you into their personal lives, maybe photos of their kids or, funny, I don't know, just funny things that they're posting. They are getting a lot more action from the younger couples because they feel like they're getting to know them as a person. And it's not just the brand of the company that they're after, but it's the actual person that they're going to work with that's really important. They want to form a personal connection.
I'm interested to see how this plays out because in the next 3, 5, 8 years when Gen Z is kind of like our full client base, I'm interested to see how this will play out, or 10 plus years, I guess, since it goes to 2010. But the reason I am interested in this is because they do expect more transparency, and myself included. But I think that there are some vendors who push back against that a little bit, who don't want to be a personal brand, who don't want to put their entire lives or a huge portion of their lives on the internet. And so I'm just interested, not that I'm not saying that their businesses will not be successful. I hope that's not the case because I am one of those people. But I'm interested though to see how that really starts to play out, because I've always said, like, I don't want to be a personal brand. I will never show my kids on social media. It's just my personal, like, I have a few things here and there, but they are not part of my brand.
Right.
And so I think as Gen Z becomes, again, more of our base client, our client base foundation of our clients, what's going to happen to us?
I am totally in your boat. I've kept Bridal Bliss pretty professional. We'll post, happy birthday posts or different things about our team. We have about 20 planners. So
yeah, you do. I was looking at your website. I was like, oh my God, look at this team.
Well, it was important to me that Bridal Bliss wasn't all about Nora Shields, because it's absolutely not. Our team is really a great group of people. And I wanted people to come to Bridal Bliss because of our brand and what we do and what we stand for, and not because of one single person.
Yes.
So, making the brand more personal kind of feels like it's going against what I've been striving for. However, I will tell you, sometimes in stories or a special post, we'll do something about my kids or another planner's kids or something. And I will tell you, we will get so many likes on that post or so many comments that it does really make you step back and think about it. So the professionals that I'm seeing that are really making it a personal brand are more of those newer, like a lot of florists will do it. It's easy for a florist or a calligrapher or someone that's a one-person show to do that. And they might fall in that age range or possibly a little bit older, but they tend to be the younger professionals that do this and do it well, that have gotten a lot of following on social media from it. So I'm with you. I'm curious to see how it plays out over the next couple of years.
Yeah, agreed. Same. I think it's definitely an evolution, and I don't believe there is an answer, like an official answer or a one size fits all formula right now. Not sure if there ever will be. But we're talking about their expectations. So, and that's one of them, of course, is the transparency. You mentioned they value equality. They've never lived their life without the internet or social media, so that's important, and they want options. And when you said that the way you said they appreciate options which of course, and I liked what you said about us as vendors having to be careful because we don't want them to have the paradox of choice. But I instantly kind of thought, I love the way you said it. What did you say? You said that you said that they almost want to make sure that they're not missing something.
Yeah.
And I was like, so the options come from like showing them kind of behind the curtain is like, listen, here's 5 options, not 10. But is it part of your messaging then is that like, listen, this is it. Like, this is the whole thing. There's no FOMO to be had here. You're not missing out on anything. That's the key.
That's what I was going to say is FOMO plays a huge role in this. Their goal when it comes to the wedding overall is just a top-notch experience for their guests. And just like the millennials, they want to outdo their friends. They want their wedding to be better, bigger. They want it to be authentic to them as a couple. And so in that, they want to choose the vendors that are going to help them achieve that. As planners, sometimes it comes to our benefit to say, I have this hidden gem that nobody would know about. They don't advertise. That is very attractive to these couples, the Gen Z couples, because it's different, it's unique, and it's something that none of their friends have done.
Oh, I like that. I hope you guys heard what Nora said just now, because that was a gem. So take that with you and run with it in your next sales meeting. So with their expectations, I mean, as we record this, we're going through coronavirus. It's July 2020. So we are all still in the thick of it. You and I kind of talked about it offline a little bit when it relates to our children. How or if, have their expectations changed during this time in coronavirus?
This has been a very challenging time. I'm sure you'll agree with me in that none of us have the answers. As a planner, we come out the hero many times for solving problems and coming up with solutions. Well, right now, none of us have that. And I think for me, that's the most frustrating part is that I can't guide my clients to make the right decision. I don't know when mandates are going to change. I don't know when we're going to have a vaccine. Nobody does. So everything is kind of at a standstill, but at the same time, people are wanting to make plans. So do we postpone? Do we do a micro ceremony? It's been a big, big challenge, and it's a different decision for every person. I would say many of our older couples, older, I say that lightly, like in their mid 30s, they, when it comes to weddings at least, they have tended to wanting to just do it. They want to get married. They don't care about the big party. A micro ceremony that we do up and do right is great for them. Whereas our younger couples, more of those Gen Z couples, they want the whole deal. They may have a small ceremony now just to make it official, but they are definitely planning on their big reception happening next year. And they're continuously adding on to it. So I honestly expected a reduction in budgets for 2021, but with our current clients and the new bookings that we're getting right now, it's looking to be a pretty healthy summer. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if I actually answered your question, but
no, you did. Yeah.
Something else that I think has come out of all of this that we've all known, but communication is key. For those wedding professionals that reached out to their clients, not once, not twice, but maybe a couple times, whether it's to check in and see what they're thinking or just say, hello, I'm thinking about you. I'm sorry this is so stressful. Couples really appreciate that. It kind of takes you back to that personal connection. They want to feel like a friend is planning their wedding or doing their flowers or taking their photos, not just somebody that they've hired for the day. And I'm working with a Gen Z couple right now that was supposed to get married in a couple weeks, and their photographer has written them just the sweetest emails, sent them little gifts, just been really thoughtful, and they always bring her up. They've already recommended her to 3 of their friends that are getting married. So it really makes a difference, and it makes them feel like a priority. And that's a really important part to Generation Z, feeling like a priority, feeling like their wedding is not one of the 20 that you're working on. That's important to them. So communication, whether it's that initial inquiry, getting back as quickly as possible, whether it's that text during the day or emails or calls. They want to hear back. They've always had technology at their fingertips. They've always had answers at their fingertips. So they expect a very, very quick response.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to technology, getting back to them fast, I love that. I like the idea of, and I know that, that's challenging for us as vendors a little, in my opinion. There's so many amazing tools. We use a lot of them in our business where we can automate things. We can automate things in the interest of making sure that people get the answers they need quickly, but then following up, of course, real time. But what, as Gen Z comes, like I said, into our base clientele, what are some of the generational shifts, or what are some of the shifts that we're going to have to make, or that we should be making right now in terms of technology in our own businesses? What should we be doing?
The number one thing is that event professionals must digitize their business and create a streamlined workflow. That's so important right now. And like you said, canned responses are expected by clients. They don't mind them, whereas maybe 10 years ago, that was more of a no-no. But couples today expect them and they appreciate them. So I think you need to make sure that not everything is just a canned email. You have to personalize as much as possible, going back to that personal connection. But, a reminder to make a payment or a reminder that a contract is due, that is not a bad thing. That is definitely appreciated by couples. So digitizing their business. There are so many platforms out there to help streamline the way you work. So you really just need to look into options, try them out. Everybody has a free trial. So see what works and try it out. It's also a good idea if there are other wedding professionals out there that you have relationships with, you're friendly with, get recommendations for what they like, and maybe try something together so you can test it on each other, bounce ideas off each other, and then you kind of have a cohort in it while you're trying something new.
And one of the things that we do, one of the things I kind of made part of my sales and part of my tours, because we do have a lot of automation in our business, because we want to continue to serve them. But I'm not going to email my couples twice a month for 18 months, which I have a wedding venue. Right. So you know what I mean? Like that personally, but I still want them to get value. So I send a lot of education, and those don't need to be personalized other than their name and things like that. It's all, everybody needs the same information as far as planning their wedding at the venue, right? It's the first time everybody's doing it. So there's a good amount of general information that all of our clients need, right? They all ask fairly similar questions, but that's one of the things that I have found is the easiest for me to automate, because we're not just sending automated emails that are saying, hi, just checking in, let us know if you need anything. I feel like that's kind of a waste of time. Like that's a waste of a workflow for us, and it's a waste of time for the couples. They don't have time to read that. Like they're super busy and they want to feel like they're a priority, right? They care the most about themselves. And so what we do is we send informational emails. So it's like, hi, Nora, it's Kinsey from Vista View Events. Hope you're doing great. Here's, your XYZ. We have them set up to go out depending on their wedding date. So one of the, like if they're 8 months out, we send this. If they're 6 months out, we send this. And so early on in their engagement process with us, we send them like how to create an awesome wedding website your guests will actually use. You know what I mean? And so it's education, but it allows us kind of the freedom to not be tied to our computers all the time.
Right. And I think those are great things to also put on your blog if you're blogging for SEO purposes. It not only gives you a place to send people really easily, but it will get you great SEO standings for different search engines. So,
girl, this came straight from my blog.
Perfect.
That's how I planned that whole email funnel. I was like, yep, blog post here.
Yeah, it's so smart because you're killing two birds with one stone. You're educating not only your clientele, but you're also bringing in potential new clientele when they're searching those keywords that you have in there.
Yes. Yeah. So what are some other things? So we talked about digitizing our business. We talked about automation, and personalization. What are some other things as it relates to technology that we really need to start embracing in our wedding business?
So utilizing the cloud is cheap and easy.
Ooh, yeah.
Things like Dropbox for all of your different files. We utilize Dropbox a ton for Bridal Bliss for photos, for sharing photos. You can get quite a bit of space on there for very, very little. So we will upload all of the images from all of our weddings throughout the year, narrow them down on there, share with all of the vendors that were on our team. We keep the timeline on there so everyone has all of the tags for all of the vendors as they post to social media. Because making it easy for not only your clients but also the wedding professionals you work with is really going to serve you at the end of the day. Google Drive is another great one that I'm sure everybody has heard of. We keep more files than I can count on there. We have templates for our team. We have spreadsheets. We have budgets, anything you could ask for. Again, there's a ton of space on there that you can utilize. Buying more is really inexpensive, but it's a great way to share with your team and your clients. We'll have different folders for different clients. You can send links, direct links, so people don't necessarily have to sign up if they don't want to, if they just want to access something. So Google Drive is another great way to serve your team and your clients as well. Social media, we've talked about a little bit. It is something that needs to be at the forefront of every business. Many couples today, including Gen Z, is not even looking at websites. They're looking at Instagram. They're looking at Pinterest to find their vendors. So yes, you absolutely still need a really fabulous website, but you need to look at your social media like an extension of that. So your grid on Instagram is really, really important.
Yes, I just I did a walkthrough. I had a couple from Missouri who booked sight unseen, and they just came out last weekend to see the venue for the first time. And I was chatting with her about her vendor team just because this isn't until next year, but she'd already really hired everybody. And I was like, oh, you are my people. Like you were just ready to go. And she just said, yeah, she's like, I felt so lucky. I found all these people. She goes, I found, because like I mentioned, she's from Missouri, we're in Colorado, but she said she planned her whole wedding. This is a quote straight from her. I planned my whole wedding using hashtags. So she would search a hashtag of what she wanted, like white wedding barn or whatever, and then she'd find it in Colorado, and then that's how she planned her wedding.
That is amazing.
I know. I was just like, oh my gosh. I mean, she said it, right? I was like, oh my, okay.
It's just so crazy because running a business today is so different than it was 18 years ago when I started. Social media didn't exist. And now
was Mark Zuckerberg even born yet? No, I'm kidding.
I probably not. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
But no, so, as a business owner, you have to know what you're good at, what you like to do, what you don't like to do, and hire people to do the things that you don't enjoy, that are taking up your time and taking you away from your craft. For me, that's social media. I do not enjoy it. I am not good at it. So I've hired a young, cute girl that we've kind of given her a guide and given her photos and kind of let her go with it. And she has been doing a great job for me. As a complete control freak, it's difficult to give things like that up. But every time I do, I always regret not doing it before. So whether you're hiring somebody to manage it or using schedulers or tools like Hootsuite or Later to simplify the social media process, that's definitely something you are going to want to look into.
That is such a power move. See, this is how you guys know that Nora has been like running this show for years and that she's just a total badass. Like that's a complete power move, is to say, I know what our social media needs and I'm just going to go find that person. It is a young girl who appreciates pretty weddings. And I mean, there's so much value in that. And what a lesson to all of us is that even if we are control freaks, like we have got to let go of the good to get the exceptional, because let's be honest, that girl is exceptional probably at social media comparatively to, someone else who may not enjoy it as much or what have you. Not only does she love it, she enjoys it. It's part of her life. It's built into the fabric of her being. But she understands how to talk to the people you're trying to attract, but you're the one who made all of that happen. Like complete CEO move. I love it so much.
Well, you can't be good at everything. And I learned that a long time ago. I'm not great at accounting. I hired a bookkeeper. I'm not great at social media. It's just the things you have to really take a step back, think about it, maybe write all of your different procedures down, all of the different things that you do in a week, and cross out the ones that you don't enjoy, because life's too short, honestly. And many are worried about the expense, and you have to judge it based on your business, but many times you'll book more business because you have more time. You'll get back to people more quickly if you don't have these other tasks that you're not enjoying that you're having to do. And it will probably take you much, much longer than this other person that you've hired to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I know we touched on a lot of stuff. Yeah, you mentioned Dropbox and Google Drive and social media and kind of automating some processes. But is there anything other tech solutions for either streamlining a wedding business or collaborating as a team through technology that you kind of wanted to share with us that might help us as we move forward in our own businesses?
Yeah, two great ones for collaborating with the team are Asana or Slack. Asana, I think I misspoke.
Mm-hmm,
And
that's right.
Slack is awesome. We use Slack at Rock Paper Coin, and it's a great way to collaborate. There are different channels that you can assign to different people. It's not all business, so you can, joke around, add emoticons, whatever it might be, but everything is searchable. So you can always go back, look at what's been posted if you ever want to reference anything. At Bridal Bliss, we actually use Facebook for this. We have a private Facebook group. Some of our planners are full-time, but some do it as a side job. So adding another app or platform to their system tends to be a little much, and they don't necessarily check all the time, but they are on Facebook. So they will get the notifications on their phone or their computer every time they check. But it's basically our digital water cooler where we share ideas, we collaborate, we share stories or feedback on vendors. If anyone is looking for a specific item or a specific type of vendor, they can just post there, and our whole team will collaborate and help each other out. So that's been a really great way to keep everyone connected. We always post funny links and stories and things there. So it's been great, definitely through COVID, just kind of keeping everyone, with the team building and keeping everyone connected, even though we're all working from home and not necessarily seeing people in person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you use Asana tell me how you use Asana within your teams?
So I actually don't use it. We use Slack instead.
Okay.
But it's just another way to manage projects, connect, track your work. I believe that they have a free trial as well, but I do have a couple other business owners that I'm friendly with that really, really enjoy the product and have shared that it's done very well. So that's another great one.
Yeah, same. I hear great. I don't use either one, but I do use Slack, but I don't use Asana, or another one is Trello that is similar to Asana. And I'm with you. I have people who I'm friendly with who are just like, love it, couldn't live without it. And I'm like, I don't get it. But I know that it works. So that's the beauty of it, though.
Platforms that feels intimidating when you first look. Many of these platforms, you go to their website and you still don't necessarily understand what they do.
Yes.
So that's when those recommendations come in from different professionals that you trust and work with. See what works for them and give it a try, because you have nothing to lose. They all have free trials. And if you don't like it, you don't like it, but at least you know what it's about and can see if it fits your business or not.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Nora, this has been so helpful and so eye-opening. As we wrap up here, is there any parting words of wisdom or last tip you want to share with us?
Yeah, I have a couple things. So first of all of these different tips and tech solutions are awesome, but don't feel like you have to do it all at once. Take your time, see what works for you, go little by little before you just change everything about your business. Obviously, it needs to ring true to you and fill your brand needs, but I think a little bit of a time will make a big difference. And we talked about Rock Paper Coin early on. I did want to share a discount code with everybody. We are running a huge promotion right now, just to try to help people out during this whole COVID madness. Our code is WED, WED20. And we are giving free lifetime subscriptions to our first 8,000 signups. So we are getting pretty close. So if you are interested and want to check it out, log in and sign up with WED20, and you will never have to pay a subscription fee as long as you use the platform.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's WED20, you guys. And I will make sure that I put not only the link to Rock Paper Coin, but also the code WED20 in the show notes, so that if you forget or you're driving right now or working out, you can find it in this episode's show notes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Where can we find you online, Nora? I know people are going to want to connect with you and check out Bridal Bliss and Rock Paper Coin. So give us the goods.
Yes, I would love that. So we're rockpapercoin.com, and all of our social media is just Rock Paper Coin. For Bridal Bliss, we are bridalbliss.com, and all of our social media is Bridal Bliss NW.
Amazing. Those will also be in the show notes, my friends. Nora, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate you and just imparting all of your wisdom on us. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. I really enjoyed talking with you. It was fun.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for listening to She Creates Business. Please take a minute and head to iTunes to leave an honest review so we can help more wedding pros find the show.